Hello citizens and welcome back. With 323 out of VeeroTech and no longer covered by an NDA, I can finally talk about the massive changes in implements. In this video, I want to cover the features that I think are the most important and some that I think won't make the release. As always, if you like this video, sacrifice a like and a comment to the YouTube algorithm and subscribe for more. And here's a shout out to our amazing patrons for their support of the channel and the Armory. There is no doubt that 323 is the largest patch Star Citizen has ever seen. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that this is a major shift for Star Citizen, not just towards completion, but also towards becoming a proper MMO. In many aspects, playing 323 is playing like a different game, not just visually but also mechanically. But at the same time, change is difficult, and understandably there is some friction regarding some of the features coming in 323. So let's take a look at the most game-changing features coming with Star Citizen Alpha 323. First, one of the major technical changes and the cornerstone of further development of server meshing are updates to the Replication Layer. Now, it's unclear at the time of writing whether static server meshing is going to be a part of 323, but there have been several server meshing tests during the PTU. However, the Replication Layer updates are still very relevant. For one, they completely overhaul how server crash recovery works, and my understanding is that now if your server crashes, you should almost seamlessly transfer to another server and continue doing what you were doing. At the time of writing, this is still under testing and development, but I believe that CAG will get this ready for the live release. For me, the interesting part of this is that it puts server meshing development ahead of my expectations, and more importantly, it fulfills some CitizenCon promises from last year. If you would like to hear a more detailed explanation of how server meshing works, I suggest you go watch my deep dive video on the topic. But that's far from being the only change. Star Citizen is going to become a different experience from the moment you log in. The new Launcher 2.0 is a massive improvement, and I think it really brings the login and download experience of the game to a proper MMO level. We will see what other features is CAG going to add, but I like the quick access to patch notes and news about Star Citizen, as well as the RSI service status and the improved version management settings. And of course, I can't forget that the new launcher is a major visual improvement. I would also like to be able to view my key bindings from the launcher or be able to copy settings between versions. Now, the launcher did go out ahead of 323, but I think that's because somehow it is required for the patch, and CAG wanted to give everyone time to switch. But moving on, as you try to get into the game, you'll be met with the new character creation, which is the first moment when you start feeling like you're playing a different game. The new character creator is a major improvement. You not only have a lot more options to choose from and customize your character with, there's also an option to import and export the character you created. This makes bringing your character over between patches a lot easier. It also allows players to share characters by sharing the associated file. And based on the ISC covering the new character creator, it seems like CAG are ready to add more options to choose from and more customization features. Next, right after you spawn in, you're going to see the new first-person UI. This overhaul covers both the visor UI and the Mobby glass. And this is the first point of friction in 323. UI has always been a problem in Star Citizen. At first glance it looks great, but as you play, the visor UI might start feeling a bit crowded and you don't know where to find the things you're looking for. But that just might be because we're not used to it yet. On the other hand, the new Mobby glass is in my opinion a major improvement. With the conversion to building blocks UI, CAG can now implement new apps and make any adjustments very quickly. My favorite feature of the new updated Mobby glass is that the various apps have their name visible right away, so it's easier to explain to new players where to go. Another part of the new UI is the new interaction experience, which at the time of recording I see where CAG are trying to go with this, but it needs a lot more polish before it's ready. I would also like to highlight the new star map. The star map has been an issue with Star Citizen for many years now, but with the impending rework, CAG never really did anything about it until now. The new version is visually and functionally completely new. It ties into the minimap display on your visor and now allows you to view locations and ships down to individual rooms. What's more important, it allows you to set routes within this small scale as well, and it can create routes using the transit system. So if you log into an unfamiliar city, you can use it to show you the path to a spaceport or anywhere else. But most importantly, the star map now allows you to save custom markers and navigate back to them. which is a very useful feature, especially if you're like me and like to travel to unmarked but interesting locations in Star Citizen. The new star map still needs a lot of polish, but I think CAG can get this done before release. Moving on, another big feature are master modes. Now, master modes have been announced a while ago and have been in testing since the start of the year. But now we're finally seeing them in the PU, and they are a major shift in how we operate our ships. For those of you who haven't tested master modes yet, you can go watch my video explaining how they work or test them out yourself in Arena Commander. A lot of players are having an adverse reaction to the impending release of master modes. And I will admit that initially I was a bit skeptical too. But I've done some testing in Arena Commander and now in the PTU, and I have to say that I am coming around. Master modes do a good job of simplifying controls, which I think helps with the learning curve of flying in Star Citizen. There are of course some concerns. For example, CAG said that being in nav mode simply allows you to run away from a threat. And this is not true in the current version. Yes, the nav mode allows you to reach high speeds, but there are situations where this is not possible. For example, when you're flying in the atmosphere. So in this scenario, when you're trying to navigate while in the atmosphere, you might end up being slow and defenseless against attackers with no ability to run away. I am very curious to see how this works out after the live release. There is definitely some tuning that CAG can do, but from the looks of it, it is becoming apparent that master modes were designed around light fighters, which is something many people were saying and something I was afraid of. We will see how this goes, but I don't think anything will change until the next release. And finally, two features that I think might not make it into the 3.23 release and might be pushed into 3.23.1. The first one is distribution centers. Now, we do see them in the PTU already and we can accept missions that lead to them, but it seems like most of the gameplay is missing at the time of writing. But I like the concept of distribution centers from what I have seen so far. They offer new and interesting locations, and there seem to be many missions associated with them. And second, personal hangars, cargo elevators, and item banks. So these three features change how we interact with our inventories in cities. Personal hangars allow you to have a persistent hangar in your home location. You can use this space to gear up your ships, load any cargo or vehicles, or simply to store stuff. This is something that we've been waiting for since the hangar module was closed. And cargo elevators, while they are used in personal hangars, are their own feature. We don't know the specifics of how they work fully just yet, but the general idea is that they provide an interaction point between the virtual inventory and the physical universe, by allowing you to deposit items and cargo into your station inventory or call it out of there. And it seems that that's also where item banks come in. We don't know much about these, even though they were mentioned in ISC. But my initial impressions are that CAG want to remove access to local inventory and only provide it using item banks, which would be kind of annoying, but I don't know enough to make a conclusion yet. And with that being said, that's all for today. What do you think? Which 3.23 features are you the most excited about? Which features do you dislike? Which features do you think are going to get pushed? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, fly safe, and I will see you in the verse.